Chosen one, you didn't land here by mistake. You were guided. There's a reason your eyes found this, a reason your spirit started stirring the moment you pressed play or opened this page. Feel that? That's not just curiosity, that's confirmation. You've felt it lately, haven't you? Like the world around you is shrinking, but something inside you is expanding. Like the old conversations bore you, the old rooms feel too tight, and the old habits no longer fit who you're becoming. That's because you're not who you were. You're leveling up. You're stepping into alignment with the real you, the one you were always meant to be. Chosen one, hear me clearly. Not everyone feels this. Not everyone gets invited to this moment. But you did. You're not just watching content. You're being activated. This message is alive. It's for those who refuse to settle for mediocrity, who feel that quiet fire inside that says, there's more for me, and I'm ready for it. So take a breath and own it. You are rare. You are called. You are chosen. And tonight, today, right now, everything starts to make sense. Let this sink in. Your destiny has been waiting for you to wake up and claim it. If your spirit feels that resonance, if something inside is shouting finally, then stay with me till the end. By the time we're done, you won't just feel inspired. You'll feel unstoppable, looking for purpose and peace. Hit subscribe and start the journey. The quiet transformation has already begun. What once felt like home now seems alien, and the familiar no longer offers comfort. A presence has been reaching all along, yet the heart was crowded with distractions too heavy to let anything pure take root. Moments of clarity had been brief, like light flickering through storm clouds, before being swallowed again by noise and confusion. All around were influences that dulled perception, rooms too cramped for the soul to expand, conversations that drained instead of nourishing, choices that kept the path foggy and tangled, attempts to feel whole in spaces that the spirit had silently outgrown, left only weariness. Seeking answers from voices that had lost their own direction brought only more dissonance. But an unseen hand has begun rearranging everything, not for comfort or applause, but for a higher task, a deeper alignment. There is a shift that words can barely contain, a stillness rising like morning over chaos, a strange alertness where there was once impatience. Former pleasures now taste hollow, and shallow victories feel weightless. Desires are changing, quietly but firmly. Less about striving, more about abiding. Less about convincing, more about becoming. The internal compass resets itself, stripping away false signals, refining what once was blurry. No longer frantic to react, but learning to wait and listen. No longer guessing, but sensing a steady pull forward. Make your impact eternal. Join now and be a light in someone's darkness. And with each quiet choice to release what no longer belongs, with each embrace of what feels authentic, there's a faint but growing clarity, a rhythm that feels alive. These sudden aversions to empty noise, this hunger for silence, this resistance to meaningless distractions, none of it is accidental. What used to charm now irritates. What once sparked ambition now seems trivial. What once sufficed now echoes hollow. This is because the inner landscape is being lifted to meet the demands of what lies ahead. The roots are reaching deeper. The clutter is being stripped away. The preparation is deliberate and precise, because what comes next requires sharpness and depth. There's no room anymore for blurred direction or half-hearted steps. The purpose waiting demands an unshakable focus, a cleansed vision, and a quiet power that cannot be faked. If your heart overflows with divine love, now is the moment to let it shine. Click the super thank you button on YouTube and give $50 or more to help carry God's light to others. Your gift will bless not only your life, but countless others. You are part of His sacred plan. Your kindness may be the answer to someone's prayer. Share your blessings and honor His kingdom. May His grace guide you always. What once embraced like a second skin now feels foreign, as though it no longer belongs to the same story. Familiar places begin to feel hollow, and once vibrant connections grow quiet without any spoken reason. The air itself seems heavier where it used to feel alive. This is not confusion unfolding, it is transformation. It is not rejection, it is direction. It is not arrogance, it is ascension. As the path ahead grows sharper, the world around begins to reveal its limits. too cramped for what is emerging, too muted for what has been planted. The tension that rises within is not mere frustration, but evidence of separation. Not random fluctuations of mood, but an unraveling of ties that can no longer carry the weight of what's to come. A strange discord grows between the internal shift and the unchanged surroundings, and suddenly the laughter of the past feels empty, the company of yesterday too distant to reach. This isn't collapse, but release. Growth has outgrown its former shell. Patterns, mindsets, comforts, even beloved rituals feel like threads fraying under a stronger weave. They no longer stretch to meet the vision now forming. Even when discomfort sharpens and nostalgia pulls, this breaking away is not punishment but preparation. The next horizon cannot be reached while dragging behind remnants of a smaller season. The climb demands freedom from anchors disguised as security. So when joy fades from old habits, when old words sound hollow, when familiar rooms press too tightly around the spirit, it is not rebellion against what was. It is resonance with what will be. This is not exile but distinction, not abandonment but refinement, not superiority but readiness. The familiar is falling away because a higher version of self is taking its place. The change shows itself subtly. Certain presences now disturb the quiet inside without explanation. Spaces once safe now feel misaligned. Old forms of leisure feel empty and intrusive. A pull towards stillness grows, not out of avoidance, but because something sacred begins to whisper. This is a necessary parting, not to diminish others, but to rise without hindrance. Not to condemn the past, but to prepare for what demands more clarity, more integrity, more depth. Do not fold back into what cannot hold the future. Do not dim to fit what light has already outshone. Do not chase agreement from those threatened by your unfolding. Let the excess peel away. Let the obsolete dissolve. Let the old pass through. For the journey ahead calls for a spirit unburdened. No clutter, no chains, no compromise. Make your impact eternal. Join now and be a light in someone's darkness. The realization has arrived quietly. What once seemed like endless waiting was never emptiness at all. Questions about doors that stayed shut, paths that vanished just when they felt close, and others advancing while everything here felt motionless. These questions once weighed heavily, but now they reveal their hidden answer. There were seasons when the silence felt like being cast aside. Every effort appeared unnoticed. Every step forward seemed swallowed by stillness. Though intentions were pure and dedication steady, the result looked like being held back. Doubt occasionally whispered whether the vision would ever materialize at all. But now the picture sharpens. Perspective shifts. The heart no longer reads the delay as punishment, but as preparation. No longer through impatience, but through the clarity that comes from trust. What looked like abandonment was actually a shield, guarding against stepping into roles too large for what the soul could yet sustain. Nothing was revoked, nothing erased, only deferred so that when it arrived, it would be a foundation rather than a burden. The pause was never wasted. It was crafting something inward, building strength to carry the weight of what was coming. The task required alignment, the internal readiness rising to meet the external calling. Now it becomes clearer. The people who walked away were never meant to witness this chapter. The positions lost would have led only into hollow routines. The platforms that ignored the voice were never meant to house its true sound. If your heart overflows with divine love, now is the moment to let it shine. Click the super thank you button on YouTube and give $50 or more to help carry God's light to others. Your gift will bless not only your life, but countless others. You are part of His sacred plan. Your kindness may be the answer to someone's prayer. Share your blessings and honor His kingdom. May His grace guide you always. Every closed route was quietly steering things into alignment. Each moment that felt like a loss was actually reorienting the path toward what fits now. What once seemed to drift out of reach is beginning to return, not through striving, but because the character has finally grown into the shape of the promise. The opportunities that once overlooked now pause in recognition. Doors not only open but remain open, not by force, but by design. This is the space where timing and fulfillment converge. Waiting no longer feels like fear, but feels like faith. No more desperate wondering whether it will happen. Now there's assurance that it already is unfolding. No more self-reliance. Now there's movement in step with something far deeper. Knowing what is meant cannot be missed. A quiet confidence grows, not loud or boastful, but rooted in certainty that no step was wasted. Every silence, every detour, every tear contributed to this exact moment. And now, what arrives does not just seem possible, it feels known. The promise is no longer foreign but familiar. Both the path and the traveler recognize each other at last. And this is the sign. The waiting was not failure, but perfect timing taking its form. The words I speak to you, they are spirit, and they are life. John 6 verse 63. It's like a seed planted in quiet dirt. Nobody claps for the seed. Nobody notices it breaking in the dark, pushing against the weight of the earth. But when it finally breaks through and blooms, oh, everyone wants to stand and admire the flower. Chosen one, you are that seed. You've been pressed down, hidden silent, but your time to break through has come. What's emerging now is more than sound, it is presence. Words no longer tumble out of brokenness, grasping for approval, but flow with quiet precision. They carry something weighty, something holy, something that can't be explained away as just wisdom or experience. Expression has shifted from reaction to revelation, from noise to necessity. And don't let anybody tell you it came easy. This transformation was not instant, no sir. It was forged like steel in fire, through unseen struggles, quiet refinement, and 1,000 little choices, where restraint spoke louder than retaliation. Long seasons of obscurity carved away what didn't belong, ego, anger, fear, until what remained could carry more than words. It could carry authority. Now what comes out of you carries an undertone of quiet confidence, not because of your volume, but because of your origin. What you speak is no longer about pulling eyes to yourself, no longer driven by the desperate need to be seen, but anchored in a deep knowing that the message will find the heart it was meant for. And why? Because the journey demanded it. Through battles no one else saw, through choices that taught stillness was stronger than spectacle, through trials that burned away all that was false. And now, what remains in you carries the residue of every silent surrender you've ever made. Even your silence has changed. Even your quiet feels alive now, carrying more force than some folks shouting. You don't have to weigh in on everything anymore. You don't have to fill every pause with words. You've learned the stillness itself speaks volumes. Walk into a room now, and something happens. The air changes. Energy shifts. People feel it, even if they can't explain why. What flows out of you now is not performative, but purposeful. It dismantles what needs to crumble. It shakes awake what's been asleep too long. It steadies what has wavered. And that's not because you're trying so hard to look impressive, but because you've allowed something deeper, something eternal, to take over. That's why there were seasons of hiding. That's why your words were kept back in the early days. That's why the platform didn't show up too soon. Because you weren't meant to entertain. You were meant to disrupt, to awaken, to cut through what no one else could see. Some may admire the sound now, but they'll never understand the cost. They didn't feel the storms that shaped your calm. They didn't sit with you through nights so quiet they hurt. They didn't carry the weight you bore long before your words carried any weight at all. And now the time has come. The sound that rises from you now doesn't just communicate, it transforms. It doesn't just land in ears, it lodges in hearts. It doesn't just reach an audience, it shifts the very atmosphere of a room. What emerges from a voice like yours strikes beyond what can be seen, unsettling what needs to break, stirring what needs to awaken. Because chosen one, hear me, you didn't survive all that for nothing. You weren't kept hidden all that time to come out here and play it small. You weren't pressed down in the dark just to stay quiet when it's time to bloom. You are a vessel now, refined, ready, reliable. And what flows from you now is more than your story. It's more than your wisdom. It's spirit and it's life. When you open your mouth now, even your whispers shake foundations. Even your silence makes crooked things straighten. Even your presence makes people stop and wonder what just walked in the room. You don't have to try so hard anymore. You don't have to prove yourself anymore. You don't have to wrestle your way into places anymore. What you carry now makes space for you. You've lived through too much to waste words now. You've paid too high a price to let the gift be cheapened now. You've been trusted with too much to throw it away, chasing applause. So stand tall in it, stay steady in it, and let the voice that God forged in fire keep doing what it was made to do. Pierce through darkness, awaken sleeping hearts, and remind the world of what's still holy. Because what's coming out of you now, chosen one, it's not just sound, it's presence, it's life. It's the kind of word that splits stone, softens hearts, and plants seeds in soil you'll never even see. Let it flow. Don't hold back now. Don't shrink to make others comfortable. Don't silence yourself, because they don't understand the weight you carry. They don't have to understand it. They just have to feel it. And they will. Oh, they will. Because you are not just another voice. You are the proof that God still speaks through broken vessels made whole. You are the evidence that silence can birth fire. You are the sound of heaven, walking in skin and bone. So chosen one, let it rise. Let it move. Let it do what it was sent to do. Something remarkable is happening. What once took so long to shift is now unfolding almost as soon as it's spoken. Intentions seem to ignite reality faster, and choices made in quiet faith open paths with surprising ease. A word whispered with conviction seems to ripple outward and alter everything in its wake. This isn't wishful thinking. It's the result of inner alignment finally catching up to its purpose. No longer coming from desperation, requests are now anchored in assurance. No longer pressing at random, actions flow naturally within a larger rhythm that has been waiting all along. The reason things are moving differently is not because shortcuts have appeared, but because the posture has matured. Desire is no longer tangled with pride. Intent is no longer cloudy. Readiness now matches responsibility. Every step made now fits into timing with precision. Movement no longer feels frantic or forced, but deliberate and clear. Instead of chaos, there is a calm pace. Instead of uncertainty, a quiet certainty. Instead of chasing what doesn't belong, the focus stays on what was meant all along. This is why there's no compulsion to explain, to plead, to rush. There's no longer an urge to push at doors that resist. What needs to open, opens right on cue. Never early, never late, because the arrival meets the moment exactly. The earlier delays were never silence from above. They were the result of noise within, of motivations that still needed refining, of a vision that wasn't yet sharp enough to see clearly. But that clutter has been cleared away. Now clarity dominates. The inner life and the outer call are speaking the same language. What is spoken carries authority instead of anxiety. What is done carries weight instead of weariness. This is why responses come quickly now. This is why strangers appear at just the right time to support and confirm. This is why circumstances seem to arrange themselves without force. The signal is clean. The intent is aligned. The path and the traveler finally match. And what flows now is not frantic striving but quiet precision, a knowing that what belongs cannot be lost, and what arrives does so at exactly the right breath. The shift within you has not gone unnoticed. What you are only beginning to grasp about your own growth has already been observed in the unseen. Both light and shadow have already registered the change long before you named it yourself. The intensity surrounding you lately is no accident. An uptick in unexpected conflict, strange resistance, fleeting alliances, inexplicable tension, sudden breakdowns where there once was stability. None of this signals failure. It signals recognition. Make your impact eternal. Join now and be a light in someone's darkness. This is not consequence. This is confirmation. Confirmation that you have stepped out of dormancy. Confirmation that the dormant strength inside you has awakened. Confirmation that your very presence now unsettles what once stood unchallenged. Disruption does not waste itself on the indifferent. Adversity is drawn toward those who have moved beyond apathy, beyond complacency, those who now carry substance too heavy to ignore. And you have become such a presence. You have shifted from merely holding faith to embodying it, from simply desiring change to enacting it, from echoing belief to walking in unwavering resolve. That is why everything feels louder now. The very air seems charged when you enter a room. It is not that you seek confrontation, but the atmosphere reacts to the clarity you carry. not that you provoke resistance, yet it surfaces wherever falsehood tries to hide. Not because you aim to disrupt, yet you illuminate what prefers to remain unseen. Patterns that clung to generations begin to shake loose because of your stance. Some people, unable to explain the discomfort they feel around you, withdraw. Some invitations vanish, not from your misstep, but because the spaces can no longer contain the weight you bring. You are stepping into a domain where presence carries impact, where intention bends the atmosphere, where words and even silence leave impressions that ripple outward. This is not just maturity, it is ascension, and the forces opposed to growth are aware of it. That is why resistance is sharpened, why familiar temptations try to creep back, why doubt whispers louder than before. Because what rises in you now is beyond their reach if you press on. They move quickly to distract you before you realize the height you've already gained. But retreat is no longer an option. Too much has been endured, too much has been forged, and above all, what has been set in motion cannot be revoked by opposition. What has been affirmed cannot be erased by whispers. The unseen already acknowledges what you carry. This is the moment to remain steadfast, not out of fear, but out of focus. Stay quiet where necessary, deliberate where called, and firm in your posture until the signal to move is given. There is nothing left to prove, only the next step to take. If your heart overflows with divine love, now is the moment to let it shine. Click the super thank you button on YouTube and give $50 or more to help carry God's light to others. Your gift will bless not only your life, but countless others. You are part of His sacred plan. Your kindness may be the answer to someone's prayer. Share your blessings and honor His kingdom. May His grace guide you always. The seasons of waiting have not been wasted. What felt like delay was shaping something in silence. Time spent watching others move ahead, knocking on thresholds that stayed shut, standing outside spaces you thought you belonged. None of it was in vain. For so long it seemed you had been passed over. At times it even felt as if your moment had vanished. Yet deep within, an unshakable knowing is emerging. You were never forgotten. You were never behind. You were being made ready, not just for an opening, but for alignment with something much greater than a single opportunity. That is why striving has fallen away. The need to convince or push has dissolved. There is no longer desperation to be noticed. No more wearing yourself thin trying to force outcomes or earn recognition. Because now the ground beneath you and the path ahead are finally resonating together. What you've been waiting for can feel you coming. It senses the shift in you. The gates you once begged to enter are opening without resistance. Because you now carry the substance they were waiting for all along. What once seemed unreachable, resources, allies, moments that felt locked away, are now being drawn to you, not because of external effort, but because of the quiet authority you have cultivated. You have stepped fully into who you were always meant to be. The pressing seasons have left you steady. The tests have left you sure. You now wear your calling with calm assurance rather than fragile hope. And everything responds to that. Favor flows toward certainty, not striving. Circumstances bend toward identity, not insecurity. When you move as though you belong, belonging meets you halfway. This is why things that once resisted you now embrace you. This is why doors swing wide that once seemed impossible. This is why faces that turned away now return, not out of pity but because of recognition. Destiny had been waiting for you to grow into its shape before it revealed itself. This is the moment where what was hidden becomes visible, where what was quietly prepared becomes undeniable. You are no longer out of step, no longer lagging behind or rushing ahead. You move in rhythm with something higher, and what is yours will not slip past you anymore. The paths you approach open because they recognize what you carry. The spaces you enter are not reacting to your effort, but to your essence. Make your impact eternal. Join now and be a light in someone's darkness. You are the embodiment of a promise fulfilled. You do not merely hold favor. You have become its evidence. This is your moment of affirmation.